Good evening. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS, Conversations with Selwyn. Thank, thank you for joining us. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, thank you for tuning in. Tonight is a very packed evening because our guest tonight is a young man I've watched growing up. It's the son of my friend, my very good friend. As a matter of fact, we are brothers from different wombs. And the young man's name is Lutalo Boyce. But before I introduce you to him, I want to say to you that the new listeners, I want to tell you what CWS is about. It's about having conversations with people about their journeys. How are they using their gifts and talents to help others? How are they contributing to humanity in a positive way? Lutalo being here tonight is almost an introduction to an initiative that CWS is unfolding, a youth initiative. See, I believe that there's such a thing as positive peer pressure. There's many young people around the world who are suffering from all kinds of social ills, many of whom are delinquent, and the consensus is that young people need adults in their lives to guide them as role models, as mentors. And that is true, but it's only part of the truth. When I tapped into the concept of positive peer pressure, a light went off in my head that, wait a minute, not only adults can make a positive impact on young people, but other young people doing positive things or extraordinary things with their lives. So I started a page you will notice on CWS on the website called Youth. On that page, I highlight young people who are doing positive or extraordinary things. Some of them have already been on CWS a while ago, and the others will eventually come on. Lutalo tonight is sort of the breakthrough, the introduction, and I'm very happy to have him. I can't wait to start this conversation. So I'm going to cut short my monologue and take a break. And when we come back, I'll introduce you to this fascinating young man.
To your eyes, you're so gentle and so warm. Want to wrap you in my arms. Yes, you got me hypnotized when I look into your eyes. Every day my lips will utter you another love song. Forever I will worship the ground you walk on. You're the only woman of my dreams. Every day my lips will utter.
We are back. I am Selwyn Collins. For those of you who are now joining us of CWS Conversations with Selwyn, the young man next to me is Lutalo Boyce. Lutalo, how are you this evening?
Doing very well.
I'm glad to. Are you comfortable?
Yeah, very comfortable.
I know you're very dedicated, very committed to your craft and or your sport rather. And you came here. You and your dad came straight here from practice.
Yes.
You know, I want to start by reading some of your bio and so on, but I like to go with the flow. How important is practicing?
I would say practice is essential in doing anything, whether it comes to doing work or sports, because ultimately it's that dedication and discipline to what you're going after is how you're going to achieve your goal.
Wow, I anticipate this is going to be a wonderful evening. I like that. Let me stay true to what I said and what I promised. Achievement Varsity Spring Track Spirit Award, June 2006. Varsity Track and Field Captain, March 2008. Nassau Coaches Meet Championships 2008. Outstanding Male Field, April 2008. All County Long Jumper, May 2008. All County Triple Jumper, May 2008. Varsity Spring Track MIP Award, June 2008. Indoor and Outdoor Track and Field High School Nationals, Top 10 Basketball Players in Westbury, September 2005 to 2009. Keystone State Games Long and Triple Jump Gold Medalist 2009. Empire State Games silver medalist, long jumper 2010, Junior Olympic bronze medalist, long jump 2010, New York State, number one. Long Island Junior long jump and triple jump record holder, Long Island Senior open long jump record holder, 2012 USA Indoor Track and Field Championships, 2013 Barbados National Track and Field Championship gold medalist and record holder. Man, you're giving me the shivers. 2013 USA National Club Championship long jump, Athlete of the Year, USATF LI 2011 and 2012, 2011, 2012. I'm proud.
Thank
Right?
you so much.
Because, I watched you growing up, Lutalo, and I remember when you were a kid running around in the yard, and your father and I, we spent a lot of time chatting together, which you can remember. And he used to say to me, Selwyn, this one here is going to be a sprinter. This one here is going to be a wicked athlete. And I said, yeah, I can see you can run. He said, man, you can't catch this guy. His mother can't catch him. And I get goosebumps, right? When your father tells me of your accomplishments, when I see some of your records, I get goosebumps because what that says to me is when you believe in something, you can make it happen. You agree with that?
Yes, very much. It's a lot about being faithful and confident in yourself.
Faithful.
Going about your dreams.
Wow, you're your dad's son. Well, congratulations on breaking the 13-year record for the men's long jump last Saturday at the USATF National Club Track and Field Championships. You jumped 7.76 meters. Tell us about that experience.
Well, that was a great experience because that was my first time competing overseas in Barbados. So I really didn't know what to expect, to be honest. So it was a totally new environment. Food was different. The people were different. Everything about it was a definite change from the U.S. So I definitely had to acclimate myself and get accustomed to everything. But once the first day, 2 days got in, I definitely got used to the weather and everything turned out to be smoothly. Ended up taking down the record and going home the champion.
Wow, that's amazing. When you first heard about that, when you first heard about the invitation, what ran through your mind?
I was very excited, but at the same time, I wasn't too sure about going down there because I had already made commitments to another track meet the week after that, so I wasn't too sure about going down there. But I discussed it with my dad and my family and my brothers, and we agreed that it would be a good decision to go down there and get some good experience.
So it was indeed a good experience.
Yes, wonderful.
Wonderful. And what was the crowd like?
The crowd was ecstatic. Everybody was yelling and screaming. It was clapping. You'd have thought even though I was a foreigner over there, you'd have thought this was my hometown.
They're saying they want you to come a little closer to the mic. Good.
Is that a little bit better?
Yeah. Let's see if we can bump up the volume a little bit. Okay, I think this should be much better. Yeah, and so the crowd really energized you.
Yes, a lot. Even though I was a foreigner, I came over as if I was one of the people from Barbados. So.
and I guess that helped with your confidence.
Yes, definitely. I was very energized, and I felt the energy from the crowd, so that made me even more hype on the runway.
I like what I'm hearing. What was the last piece of advice you received before you competed last Saturday?
Be confident in yourself and find a way.
Find a way.
Yep. No matter what it takes, find a way. Because you have it inside you to find your true identity.
Mm-hmm. I like that. What do you prefer, being the underdog, a contender, or the favorite?
To be honest, it really doesn't matter which one I am. I just go out there and compete and put my best effort forward.
That was a sneaky question. I mean, I admit, I deserve that. I deserve that. Your name, Lutalo, connotes power. Please tell us about the origins of your name.
Lutalo is an African name, and that means born to fight. And my middle name is Talfani, which is also African, means destiny to rule. So, of course, I'm a fighter. I'm not going down without putting up a fight. So I'm not giving up and quitting on myself. and destiny to rule means anything I put my mind to, I can conquer.
You know, I'm gonna go down in your timeline a little. It's not like you're an old guy and you know that you have some extensive timeline, but because I know you, and know you since you were really a toddler, I remember you being quiet. You're still quiet, right?
Yes.
Still to some degree
Keep to
quiet.
myself sometimes.
Right, right. I remember that. And I see this sport that you're in is very competitive, highly competitive. And you go out there and you do your thing. You rock the crowd. Your father told me that you have some, you know, you got some antics that you use and you engage the crowd. Where does this come from?
It comes from my own personality that I gained from over the time being being confident, me me finding myself ultimately.
What, Lutalo? All right. Okay, I'm gonna go into third gear because you know, I mean, I'm asking you a little soft question, and you're gonna, you're gonna show me up like this. Well, you know, I find myself, I got confident. I find myself. Okay, all right, cool. We got that. I like that, right? I really do. Finding yourself. You played another sport.
Yep, I used to play basketball.
You loved it.
Yes, definitely.
Was there a conflict at any time?
There in high school there was a little bit of a conflict because at a point because I was doing basketball in the winter, it was affecting me track wise in the spring, so I wasn't in the best shape for track. But ultimately, I ended up having to give up basketball, and I ended up dedicating myself to track, and the results ended up turning out pretty well in the ending.
What was that like for you, making that transition?
It was at first it was kind of tough. I'm not gonna lie, because basketball was my first sport. I grew up doing it in my backyard. I played in tournaments all my life, so definitely it was a little bit of change going from Saturday basketball games to now Saturday track meets, which would be all day, and doing more than one game to now 3-4 events now.
And when did you start competing in long jump? How did you get started actually?
It's a funny story. I actually started long jumping in gym class. We did the Marine Corps fitness test, and then I did the standing broad jump, and I actually broke the school record. So I actually broad jumped 10 feet. So, and the coach was like, why don't you try the long jump? I said, all right, why not? I'll try it. I got good speed, and I have already jumping ability from basketball, so I just ran with it.
And that was it?
Yep, and that's
what is this with you and breaking records? Seriously. You know, I mean, it's kind of early in the show for this, Lutalo, but I believe in the flow and I love to follow the flow. Your dad and I grew up together. We went to the same school, and he was an excellent sportsman. I think it was 7 sports he participated in at very competitive levels. And fierce competitor.
Very fierce.
Fierce competitor to this day, and I'm sure any of our contemporaries looking at the show tonight will agree with me. Very, very fierce. Do you think you've inherited some of that fierceness?
Definitely some of the genetics have been passed down. The same competitiveness that people always tell me that he had is the same competitiveness I have in me.
You know, I have to bring him on sometime in the show to really dig into him about you and put the two of you together and have this conversation because it would be interesting for the crowd. I mean, I've seen the two of you interact and talk about the sport, but in this setting, in this context, I think it's gonna make for a very interesting conversation. So later on in the show, I'm going to do that. Can you give some insight into how you break down a long jump and look for areas to make improvements?
One of the first things you want to work on if you want to be a top long jumper is you want to make sure that you have rhythm on the runway, which is your run up. Because without the proper rhythm, your steps will be off, and you end up slowing down on the runway. And ultimately, you want to keep your momentum flowing down the runway, almost as if you were dancing. Ultimately.
Tell us a little bit more about this rhythm. Because there are many of us who can't claim rhythm. So,
well, you want to make sure that the first thing is when you're on the runway, you want to make sure that you calm yourself down. Of course, you
Mhm.
don't want to be, even though you're anxious to jump, you still want to be able to calm yourself down and take a breather and then go down the runway. So whatever your rhythm is, whether you want to come out fast and maintain or you want to come out slow and build up your speed more towards the end of the runway, that's more up to you because everybody has their own rhythm to find.
And that, of course, requires a tremendous amount of discipline
Hmm.
because, I mean, I can just imagine you're racing down a track or the runway
Yep.
and you want to win. You also want to be accurate
Yes.
because it's a technical sport,
Yes.
right?
Very accurate.
Right. Now, how did you get to calm? How did you get to that point where where you accepted that look, if I am going to win, I have to be calm at this stage. Are you calm throughout or just the run up?
I would say throughout.
Throughout. Okay.
Because once your head is not there mentally, then everything else just starts to fall apart. So ultimately, you want to maintain your composure, especially as an athlete, because once your mental is gone, everything else starts to wither away, and then you end up hurting yourself more than benefiting yourself.
I'm going to ask you this, right? You're racing down the runway. The crowd is cheering, right?
Yes.
You want to win. Officials are somewhere around, but you're focused.
Hmm.
Carry us through that trip.
Once I get on the runway, I usually take about 2-3 deep breaths just to calm myself down. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a pretty energized guy once I'm on the runway. Because I feed off the energy of the competitors and anybody who feels they can beat me.
Mhm.
So once I get into that zone, it's just competitive fury on the runway. But I still gotta remember that ultimately I still gotta relax and not come out of my zone and stay within myself ultimately.
And then you leap
Yep,
and you fly.
very much like an eagle.
I have seen it. I've seen the pictures, right? And your dad told me about this, and then I've seen the pictures, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. What is going through your mind while in flight?
I try to just maintain my form as much as possible
Mm-hmm.
and just come down softly. I try to get as much inches as possible because long jump is a game of quarter inches and inches. So
Mhm.
every millisecond counts in the air.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very technical. Do you hear your father's voice while you're in the air or while you're on the runway?
Well, maybe before I go down, he'll probably yell out "warrior" because that's what he calls me.
Warrior.
But other than that, everything else, I'm talking to myself and visualizing what I'm about to do on the runway,
Mhm.
how I'm about to come down, how I'm gonna take off, how I'm gonna hold my technique, and how I'm gonna land.
This is amazing. Let's take a break, Lutalo. Let's take a break.
रहेंगे पप्पा बाला जैसे राजा महाराज आए दुल्हे रामा लाला बाला जैसे राजा महाराज आए
smoothly. Is that good?
Stop it.
Okay.
We are back. I am Selwyn Collins, your host, and this is Lutalo. I know you guys don't really care to see me, so let's focus on this young man. So, Lutalo, how are you doing? How are you holding up so far?
I'm doing pretty well. It feels going pretty smoothly.
Good, good. You're also the 2013 Barbados National Track and Field Championship gold medalist and record holder. What do you do in your training that is key to your success in long jump?
I would say mostly working on my hips and my core, which is your abdominal muscles. That is what really helps me to jump as far as possible. Because without a strong core, you're not going to be able to maintain your height and hold your legs out in front of you towards the end of your jump.
So the core.
Yes.
Wow. So somebody like me gonna have a hard time, huh?
I would say
You
so.
better don't go there, Lutalo. Well, how important is proper mental preparation in achieving your goals, like attitude, visualization, confidence, etc.?
I feel that's the preparation that helps you go into what you need to do into the track meet or into your whatever event you're going into. So once you tell yourself, yo, this is what I want to do and this is how I'm gonna go about doing it, and you prepare yourself beforehand going into the meet, you're gonna be a lot more successful.
So you do a lot of training, a lot of preparation.
Yes.
When you have an off day, right? And I don't mean like a break, but like things not going right or you're not feeling right about yourself. What brings you back?
Usually I just think about the good days that I have, and I try to stay positive as much as possible. And going back to what I said, you always you just got, even though it may not be your best day, you still have to find a way to get it done.
So you reflect on the good days.
Yes.
You do that.
Very much.
Wow.
You gotta live in the moment. You never know when it's gonna come.
Okay, got it. I want to go to the chat room. Kali said, Lutalo, congrats on your amazing accomplishments. Do you watch the other long jumpers as they jump? How does that affect your performance?
I watch them, but that doesn't really tend to affect me because I still maintain my own composure and still go about jumping the same way I do. Even if a guy jumps ahead of me, I still got to go out. That pushes me even more now to jump even further and push the limits.
The last meet, the one that you won.
Yes, the national championship.
Did you get a medal for that?
Yes, I got a gold medal for that.
You have it here with you?
Yes, I have it here with me.
Let us see it. Hold it up. Let us see it. Wow. And this is just one of many medals.
Yes, one of probably maybe 200.
You remember as a kid growing up looking at all those trophies and medals in your father's collection? Yeah. Have you surpassed him yet?
Yes, now I definitely have surpassed him. But as I was growing up, I was like, yo, how am I going to catch up to him?
So tell us a little bit about the last meet. What was it like leading up to it? Were you nervous? Were you up? How was it? I'm really not nervous. More about anxious to jump, to be honest. Because I'm not gonna lie, I love competition. It doesn't faze me. It doesn't scare me. When I was a little bit younger in high school, I used to get a little bit more nervous because I really wasn't as mentally prepared as I am now. So me being definitely mentally more prepared, it led up to me being a lot more confident in myself. Are you a philosopher, Lutalo?
Nah, just a long jumper.
Oh man, Lutalo, I'm so proud of you, man. What is your biggest challenge as a long jumper, and how do you manage this challenge?
That's a hard one. My biggest challenge as a long jumper is mostly just being able to execute ultimately, even through different standards, whether it be weather, the competition, officials, competitors trying to talk to me. I still gotta be able to maintain my own cool and just focus on myself, because ultimately everything. If you let anything distract you, it'll distract you. If the birds are flying, you'll look up and let that distract you, and that'll throw up your whole confidence and focus.
I want to go back to Barbados because you got this call, or your dad got a call. Come down, let's do this. Barbados has their own champions. Did he jump before you, or were you? How did it go?
How it went was I was leading the competition from the first jump. My first jump was 24 feet 6 inches, and going into the next round of jumps, a guy passed me. So that just I don't like being in second place. I'm a guy that just loves first. I'm not gonna lie, I like being on the top of the medal stand. So I just felt that it was a matter of time before I had to put it away a little bit and show them that why I came down here from the U.S. and why I was invited down here.
So what did you do? I mean, mentally, when you saw that he beat you or surpassed you, what did you do? What did you say to yourself?
Mentally, I just told myself, listen, you got to focus a little bit more down the runway, correct the little errors that my coach told me, which is my dad. And once I correct those errors, everything will just fall into place.
You're that confident in your technique?
Yes.
Which means you're very confident in your dad.
Of course.
Good. Kali asked, are you considered a professional athlete? If so, who sponsors you? Are you part of a club?
Well, right now I'm not considered a professional athlete. I'm still an amateur and I'm still in college, so I still have college eligibility, and I don't have any sponsorship yet, but definitely soon to come, very soon. The way I'm jumping.
Yes. What makes you different from other athletes?
I would say my discipline and dedication to my sport, ultimately, because a lot of guys get caught up in the lifestyle of, partying and drugs and drinking. And I try to avoid that as much as possible and not put myself in those situations where, even though I know I'm not going to do it, I still try to avoid it as much as possible, because you never know what could happen in a situation, and I just try to stay away from that so that I don't tarnish my image.
Let's explore that a little bit, because as I mentioned to you, CWS is unfolding this whole youth initiative, and young people are looking at the show. We encourage young people to look at the show, and what you just said is very profound. At this age, you're not caught up in a certain lifestyle. You're dedicated to your craft, to your sport, you're disciplined. But what came first? Was it the desire to be a champion, to be successful, or were you just were you just didn't like that kind of lifestyle? What was it? What pushed you? What brought you to this place?
I would say my discipline towards it, because ultimately, when I came out of high school, I wasn't the best athlete. I wasn't the top guy in the nation. I was a pretty decent long jumper and triple jumper, and a lot of people doubted me, telling me, you can't do this. You're not gonna be able to do this because you didn't get a scholarship. And I took that to the head, like, all these people are doubting me, and these were the people that were backing me before. So ultimately, that was my drive and push to prove them wrong.
And you certainly did. When you became national champion, what was that like to you?
Oh man, to be honest, I felt like a young god.
I wanna go to the chat room for a bit. Joe asked, has your dad been your only coach you've had?
Yes, he's been my only coach since I graduated from high school, and that's my leader and that's my guardian.
I love that. And Darwin Murray said, I love the discipline and mental focus. Keep up the hard work, family. Bless up. And G said, Lutalo, you are very confident and disciplined. Do you mentor other young people?
Yes, I coach other athletes on the side. 'Cause I am also a certified coach, so I coach high schoolers, middle schoolers, and all elementary school kids. And I also try to preach the same values that I have into them.
Do they listen?
Of course, they're young, so they don't listen to everything.
Right.
But I try to instill, as long as I'm able to tell them and guide them, so that they don't go down the same path that other kids have gone, then I've done my job.
I like that. I like that. And John asked, how do you maintain your skills during the off season?
A lot of different unorthodox training that people wouldn't do is what I do. People like to do a lot of weights. I don't like to do a lot of weights because I feel that's a lot of strain, and it really doesn't help a lot of athletes because it's just a lot of strenuous exercise. So I try to do everything to balance my body, whether it be upper body, core, legs, and my back, because back is very essential also, because that's one of the biggest muscles of the body.
You know a lot about these muscles, don't you?
Yes.
And DSACB asked, how do you balance athletics and academics?
Definitely academics comes first, so I try to get my schoolwork done as quickly as possible when I'm at school, so that when I get home, I can have time for myself to just enjoy life as a kid or as a young adolescent, and then of course later on I do my workout, and that's just focus and grind.
Do you ever get an urge sometimes to like just chill out? Like, you know, I'm practicing every week, several times a week, several days a week. My dad is my coach. My dad is on top of me from time to time. Man, look, I just need some time to myself. Do you ever get like that?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely take time for myself sometimes away from the sport, because it definitely mentally drains you. So ultimately, you do want to live life as a kid. Ultimately, have fun and enjoy your young life, because you don't want to say what if and what and then and but I could have, would have, should have, and I don't want to live that. I'd rather enjoy my time that I have here, because I don't know how long I have until my time is done.
You know, a young person who wants to have a long jump, looking at you, looking at this show and listening, and they're conflicted because there are other sports distracting them, perhaps like you, basketball or something else, football or something else. What advice would you give that young person?
I would tell them go after what they love, because if your heart is not into it, then you're not gonna put your all into it, and ultimately you're gonna be not only gonna waste your time, but you're gonna waste somebody else's time when you could have been focusing on that thing that you really love and want to dedicate yourself to.
I know your dad is, and I mean that's an understatement, but I know he's very, very brilliant, very wise. How does he, and this is from your perspective, of course, how does he balance dad versus coach? Because I know that can be challenging.
A lot of times it's just putting your ego and your pride aside sometimes. And once you're able to put that aside, then you're able to not only understand the athlete more, but you're able to help him and inspire him a lot differently.
So you enjoy this relationship?
Yes, this is the greatest bond ever.
I like that. I like that. Do you have any special rituals or routines that you do just before you compete?
I definitely make sure I always warm up, and I always make sure I have my bag packed the night before, and I make sure I have a certain socks that I wear also.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is this an old socks?
No, it's a pretty recent sock, but Whenever I jump in it, I feel overwhelmed and I feel hyper. So it gives me good luck, I would say.
I like that. Why the bag being packed the night before?
If you don't, if you fail to prepare, then you prepare to fail.
All right, Lutalo. All right. What is your diet like?
Very strict.
Really?
Very strict. I try to take in mostly fruits and vegetables. Try to stay away. I try to eat fast food maybe once a month, if that. If that. So very much I try to eat fish, chicken. I try to stay away from the red meat as much as possible because, of course, with all the growth hormones they're putting in the meat now, it's not the best for you. So I try to eat a lot of organic stuff also.
Okay. Wow. And what other people are essential components of your team? For example, coaches, trainers, agents, sponsors, etc. You have a team of people around you. Who are the essential components?
For one, I would have to say my chiropractor, Dr. Silk. My brother is definitely one that pushes me a lot. My mom, my sister, my family in Texas, my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, everybody, whether it could be even a stranger sometimes, just giving me the right advice at that right moment. So it's honestly a lot of people, to be honest.
Your brother, y'all are close in age, right?
16 months apart, actually. So very close.
And I remember him, competitive himself, very bright, very bright, and so on. Is he one of your greatest supporters?
Yes, very much. He's very much my drive, just as much as my dad is my coach. He helps me find myself ultimately because he's a very calm guy, and me, sometimes I can get a little aggravated, and he tells me not to let things bother me, and for me, and that's one of the few things I learned from him is keeping calm in certain situations, and not being so quick to be aggressive, and just look at the situation and evaluate it differently.
He taught you that?
Yes.
Wow. Let's take a break, Lutalo. You ready for a break, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I'm not gonna deny you that.
We are back. And on my side is Lutalo, and the man next to him is Basil Boyce. Basil, how are you doing this evening?
I'm fine. I'm doing well. Excited to be here.
I'm glad to hear that. I can tell from the smile on your face, man. I'm go ahead, go ahead.
This is definitely a pleasure.
Basil, you may want to pull the mic close to you a little bit because this is your
Yes,
segment.
this is definitely a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. You know, I am really amazed at all that has happened and all that is happening with Lutalo. And in the beginning of the show, I mentioned how you had told me several occasions you actually predicted that this guy is going to be an athlete and he's going to surpass you. And I'm just like enthralled by this whole evolution and of this young man's talent. How do you feel though? Tell us about that.
It's actually a work in progress, and I get to enjoy it every day from 2 points: from a coaching point of view, and from his father, being his father. And it's just wonderful to watch the development of this young man. It's a lot of hard work. A lot of work has been put into it, and we both learning. I've never coached until I started coaching him. Even though I've had a very extensive athletic career,
Right.
and so he actually drafted me after high school. And I told him, one of the first things I told him was that anything that you do, you'd have to have passion for it, which is really love.
Right.
And that love, it brings out humility in you, which allows you to really learn and study your sport. Or whatever it is your passion is, it doesn't matter. But that love brings out humility, and which allows you to learn. And so during the process of me coaching him, I've learned so much about myself in terms of being able to be patient with him, to actually separate the parent from the coach.
See, I asked him about that, and I'm glad that you brought it up because it gave me an opportunity to ask you directly. Well, how difficult is that?
Extremely difficult. One of the things I find a lot of times with parents, some of their dreams they might want to push onto the children. I was an athlete, and he's, as you said, he surpassed me already. But one of the things that I realized that he had to have the passion for this. As much as some of it is DNA and genetics. You all know that. My father was also an athlete. He went to tutorial high school, and he was a champion boy in Guyana also. So it's in the genes. But one of the main things, like I said, is allowing him to develop. And to do that, you have to actually suppress the part of you that actually wants to see him do well and be more technical and focus on actually motivating him and making him comfortable, because it's all about the athlete at the end of the day.
I'm listening to you and I'm imagining how challenging it can be, right? On one side you're the father, you're the dad. There's a certain amount of emotions there, and then on the other side you have to be a coach where as flexible as you are, sometimes you have to be rigid as a coach.
Right.
How do you balance that? I mean, does it ever cross?
Yes, definitely. I'm human, and he checks me.
He checks you
very quickly.
does he check you as son, or does he check you as one of your I guess clients?
I would say both.
Both.
Yes, definitely. Because there's times when I'll step over the mark, and he's gonna say, "Dad, no, I'm not comfortable doing this." And even though I might think that it's right, I have to listen to him. And that's where now, as a parent, you want him to do what you want to do. But then as a coach, you have to say, no, this is not the way to do it. So you have to, like I said, you have to respect the athlete. You really have to take yourself out of it, and just focus on trying to motivate him and make him better.
Lutalo, this is for you, so you could pull the mic to you, right? Kali asked, does your prowess in long jump give you an advantage in another sport? If so, which one?
I would say it probably gives me I would say probably basketball, most likely, because basketball is a lot of jumping and a lot of athleticism, and track is a lot of coordination, a lot of the hands and feet. So, if anything, I'll probably say basketball.
You know, I am. Well, before I ask my question, the SACB asked, "Do you only coach your son, Basil?"
But it started with him, but now we've added a lot of different athletes. We actually have Darnell Mickens, who was the 200-meter champ, New York State 200-meter champ, and we have a few high school athletes, and like you said, a few middle school athletes and elementary athletes. So it's not just him, but it did originally start with him. And I'm also a certified USATF coach.
Wow. I am indeed proud of you, Basil. And you said you've grown tremendously because of this.
Yes, the experience as a human being. Because coaching, as we know, coach, and we've talked about this, Selwyn, a coach is really a teacher. And a teacher is a servant in disguise. Because you have to serve. And while serving, you have to give up yourself, become unselfish, exercise patience. All the things that that sometimes in a world that's so fast we tend to forget. And so it makes you grow as a person, definitely.
One thing I must say, congratulations to you, Lutalo, for adapting this lifestyle, so to speak, this discipline. That is definitely for being a role model. I'm really proud of you of that, because today in this era we live in a very fast-paced era with cyberspace and social media and so on, and so the temptations and distractions are enormous, and I can't help. I have to explore this a little bit more. How do you deal with the distractions? Your dad isn't always around. How do you deal with it?
I just gotta remember what I'm not the goal for now, but the goal down the line is what I'm working towards. And ultimately, I'm not gonna let one night or one day affect my future.
Lutalo, I'm gonna go somewhere. You probably might not be ready for this, but I'm gonna go there. You're young, good looking, right? Sportsman. I think you know where I'm coming from, right? Check the guy laugh. All right, sportsman, champion. You're doing your thing, Lutalo. The ladies, how do you remain disciplined where that is concerned?
To be honest, it's just me just going to having to tell them, yo, this is what I'm going after, and if it is whether you want to be in the picture or not, and if you stay, then you can come along for the ride. If you're the right one, but if you're not, then they'll fall off eventually, because they can't last too long, because I'm too real to be.
Lutalo, I'm gonna stick with this question. Hear this. Prepare yourself. All right. That could very well be, Lutalo, because your prize, your goal, is far more appealing to you than whoever this young lady is. I'm not gonna blow you up live and say young ladies, whoever this young lady is. Now, is that true, Lutalo, that perhaps I better not ask this question. I need you to have all your limbs, right? So let's let this one pass. So you are disciplined. The SSCB asks, any possibility in representing Guyana? Basil, you want to take this, or Lutalo? Lutalo, you want to go first?
I'll take it. Doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
I would definitely love to represent Guyana. But I don't really know too much about their track program right now. So that's one of the main focuses that I'm considering. Like, I wouldn't mind. I already told my dad from the start that I want to compete for Guyana, and he's already told me that he's like, as much as I want you to compete for Guyana, there's not really much of a track program down there, and I don't know if they're going to be able to help you and get you what you need. So ultimately, I'm going to wherever the best places for me comfortably.
And just so the audience know, you have, in a sense, dual or triple citizenship, in that your mother is from Barbados
Yes.
and you were born here, and your dad is from Guyana. So, Basil, you want to take this question? You want to give some thoughts to this?
Definitely. I think Guyana is in the stage of building a track, finally. And when you compare that to the U.S., every high school over here has a track. And a whole country like Guyana does not have a track. So obviously there's some disconnect there. We've seen what track and field has done for Jamaica, Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
We've seen what it's done for Trinidad, Grenada, Karani James, a world champion, Olympic champion, and even Bahamas has a great track program. The red in the Caribbean is for track. It's built it's for speed, and I think once the government of Guyana puts some energy into track, then I think the seeds will definitely start to spring up. But I also feel that we have a responsibility, and me as a Guyanese, I would love to take my son Lutalo down to Guyana and actually have a seminar, a training session, or even develop a performance center down there to encourage the growth of track and field. So I think that could be the future.
I like
of some
that.
of the things that we would like to do.
I like that.
Do you, if you were to be, let's say, one of these officials listening here tonight, and you were to be called, what would you expect from them?
Commitment.
Commitment.
That's the first thing. Which means a budget.
Okay.
Ultimately, because things have to be put in place, a foundation has to be placed, and that costs money. Development of youth programs. I've seen over here, for example, Lutalo, he didn't participate at an early age in track, but there are so many youth programs over here to develop them from one level to the next. For example, in Long Island, there's association meets, and then there's regional meets, and then there's national meets. And the kids that move from each level to the highest level, which would be the national level, get exposed to a lot of competition. And to me, that's where the growth takes place. Once you're exposed and you're competing, I can remember the first time we went to the U.S. Indoors Nationals, and Lutalo competed against Will Clay, who's a two-time medalist at the Olympics, and the experience was phenomenal. Sonia Richards-Ross was there, Justin Gatlin, a gold medalist. So, and this is what actually the things that he's spoken about, not being nervous. Well, he was extremely nervous in that meet. Of course, it was his first meet, but the exposure helped him tremendously. So going forward to the next meets, he was actually he knew what to expect a little bit more because of that exposure at an early age to the high level. So when we're talking about developing a program, we have to develop it from a youth program where there's so many different levels of competition.
Okay.
And I think in Guyana we had similar things. We had inter-school, inter-zone, and then nationals. It's just that it was limited for a specific time. Over here there's spring track and there's winter track. And even in the summer there's track programs. So I think that's really what would have to happen. It has to start from the grassroots, a foundation, and work its way up.
Let's hope that we have some keen listeners and committed listeners who might, take you up on this, because it's important. What is a country without sports and so on? That's very important. Lutalo, I have this question for you. What is did this exposure mean for you in Barbados, competing at that level?
It was, that exposure honestly was the best thing that could probably have happened to me, because that was my first overseas meet that I've ever been to. So me going there, that's a totally new environment for me, and for me to go there and compete the way I did and break a record, that was the greatest accomplishment that I could say in my career right now.
So do you think they would want you to compete for them, or represent them rather?
They didn't want me to leave it after I broke the record. They're telling me we gotta find a Bayesian girl down here, so you can get married and get citizenship.
Your dad will tell you that they have very pretty, very beautiful Guyanese women. So if they're gonna go there, I'm gonna have to represent my sisters. Right. Very, very pretty Guyanese women. So that can be a criteria. But they wanted you to stay.
Yes, definitely. It was I had the crowd in awe after I was leaving. After the competition was done, I went up and spoke to a couple of the head officials who was going to help me in the process of getting citizenship. And as I was walking up, everybody in the crowd was smiling and taking pictures of me and shaking my hand. And that was my first time ever experiencing that. It's almost as if I was an Olympic gold medalist.
Wow. So what was that like?
It was an experience that I'll never forget. It was tremendous to my confidence, and it gave me a little bit of how my future is about to grow.
What would be your ultimate achievement?
My ultimate achievement would be breaking the world record in the long jump.
It's gonna happen.
Definitely gonna happen.
It's definitely gonna happen. And where do you draw your inspiration from?
My inspiration is honestly from my family. That bond and togetherness. Because honestly, I know I wouldn't be here without them backing me and that family support.
Mm-hmm. And said your brother is very calm, Kibo, and you learned that from him. And is he competitive? Is he in sports? Does he like sports? Or?
Yeah, he likes sports. Me and him always competing just about everything.
Oh, really?
Whether it be racing up the steps or who's the best in video games.
Okay. Yeah, your dad did tell me he's highly competitive. Mm-hmm. He's not the kind of guy you want to beat you at anything.
Definitely not. He'll run his mouth on you all day as soon as he beats you.
Oh gosh. The SACB said, sorry if I missed it. How old are you?
I'm 21 years old.
21 and disciplined and focused, and tells the ladies that this is where my focus is right now.
Yes, this is everything to me. Like, as much as there'll be a few distractions here and there, of course everybody falls off their path, but ultimately I still get back onto my route and know where I need to be ultimately in the next few years.
Do you have a daily routine?
Other than waking up and brushing my teeth and working out, nah.
So going to the track, you love that. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
That's like my serenity, where I find my calm, honestly. As much as things may be going on, whether inside or outside the family, when I go to the track, that's just where I find my inner being.
Has any of your performances surprised you? And which one?
The performance that probably surprised me is probably my first meet back in May. It was May 31st, where I jumped 25 feet again. Because prior to that, I had sprained my ankle, so I had to take almost an entire year off and basically rehab my ankle until I got it back to where it needed to be. So, and that was my first official meet of the spring. So I really didn't know what to expect. I just went out there and said, all right, I'm in shape. Let me see what I'm capable of doing now that I'm fully healthy and I can compete again.
25 feet.
Yes, 25 feet, 2 inches.
Did you have to add the 2 Lutalo?
Of course.
May I remind you, you're sitting next to a long jumper. The man said 25. Yeah, go ahead, boss.
May I interject? He actually won the bronze medal in 2010 by half an inch.
Half an inch?
So it's a matter of inches.
Tell us a little bit about that bronze medal.
That was my first year out of high school. So, and I told my dad, I'm really passionate about this. I don't want to give up on this, and I see myself being a Division One athlete in the future. So I said, I don't know how we're gonna get there, but I know we're gonna find a way to get there. And me and him both believed and trusted each other, and he's gonna help me, and I'm gonna help him become a better coach, and he's gonna help me become a better athlete. So that led up to a lot of where our bond going into the Junior Olympics. And when we went there, man, oh man, was that an experience? Because that trip was my first actual big national meet that I've gone to, the biggest of them all. So when I went there, we didn't have a car. So we walked about 5 miles going each way to the track and back.
5 miles?
And we were down there for about 5 to 6 days. So maybe like on day 5, that's the only day we didn't walk to the track. But every day we was walking from the hotel to the track to watch the other events. And when it was done, we was walking back, and we was talking about how everything is, the weather, down, anything. How we like it out here, how do we like the facility.
What was that like? I mean, I guess you didn't feel the walk.
No.
But you enjoyed the company and the conversation.
Yes, that's the bond that I'm talking about between me and my dad that we grew upon. So once that walk and helped us become a little bit more closer than anybody else, because a lot of people they're driving to the track, so that's maybe 5-10 minutes, so not really much time to talk. But on that 5 mile walk, you have tons of time to talk about anything and everything. So in that walk, it strengthened me, showing me that how much further I need to push myself, and how this voyage was meant for me, because this was a trial that I needed to walk to get to where I needed to be.
Lutalo, you are indeed a teacher. I mean, sitting here listening to you, and I'm not stunned, but I'm really enthralled. Just listening to you at this age, so wise. But then again, I know your father, and we have many, as you know, many many long hours of discussions, on philosophical and spiritual and all of those things. But what I got out of that experience, from what you were telling me, is the importance of commitment.
Yes,
right?
Very, very committed.
Very committed, and do whatever it takes to get to where you have to go.
Yes, absolutely. If you're willing to, whether it means putting your life on the line for what you believe in, then stand for it. Don't be afraid to speak your mind about how you feel, and that's something that a lot of people are afraid to do nowadays. A lot of people don't want to speak up because they maybe feel insecure, or they don't want to be judged by society or looked at a certain way. And I'm not afraid to be myself and speak my mind.
You're not afraid?
No.
And where did that confidence come from? Where did that come from?
That comes from both my brother and my dad, because they're both open-minded and freely about how they feel. So when they feel a way about something, they'll come communicate that to me, and that's something that I honestly had to learn, because as I was younger, I would just keep my emotions inside of me bottled up. And so one of the few things that I picked up from them is being able to honestly speak calmly without being aggressive and speaking in a certain tone, so that you're able to deliver your message a lot clearly.
One of the things, when we talked before the show, when I was working on your ad, and you mentioned that hard work gives birth to success. It is obvious that it does, but if you were talking to a group of young people right now, how would you express that point or emphasize it?
I would tell them to never give up and follow their dreams to the end. Don't let anybody tell you what you can and cannot do, because you determine your own destiny.
You did. Have you ever felt like giving up? Have you? Well, let me rephrase that. Let me ask a different question. How do you deal with losing?
Losing, one way I look at losing is a way how to evaluate myself and look at the wrongs that I did so that I can correct them further down the line. And losing isn't a bad thing. It helps. It's your drive, and it helps you push you a little bit more the next time you go out and compete.
So it is more like a compass to you.
Yes, I would say so. Very
And
much.
it drives you.
Yes.
Give us let's call a meeting of the minds between you and your dad. You had a meet, right? And you jump, and someone jump past you, and you have to go for the next one. But you and your dad decide to have a coach athlete talk. Give us an example of one of those sessions.
Well, one of the things he'll tell me is like, yo, he'll tell me this guy's ahead of me, but he says, don't worry about that. You're a good jumper, and I know you're very competitive, and you're able to jump further than that. You just gotta visualize and see yourself down the runway going past that mark. So as he tells me that, I take that into consideration, and I start to visualize myself down the runway, all my steps, my takeoff, my air technique, and my landing. So before then, I'm already looking to see past his mark. I'm not looking just to beat him. I'm looking to soar past it and set a different mark so that everybody comes out their comfort zone now.
Have you ever gotten some advice? I think you alluded to that just now. I think your dad alluded to that sometimes he may say something and you said, no, I can't, or I don't want to, and he has to pull up the brakes because he listens to you. Have you ever been in a crunch? You must win, and he said something to you that you felt, no, maybe I should do it another way, or you, in that space, you always listen?
In the crunch, I usually listen to him because he's probably got the best eye, if anything, of what's going on and how I'm jumping. So I take his words very, very seriously and his advice. So in the crunch, I do listen to him, and there are times that sometimes he'll say something and we'll discuss it, and then even though we may not agree at that point, we'll join our ideas together and we'll find a way so that it works best for me on the runway.
So you always find a way.
Yes.
Way of the warrior. Okay. And what has been one of your biggest disappointments as an athlete, and what did you learn from that?
My biggest disappointment as an athlete, I would say I have two. One is in high school when I was messing around in school, and my second would be when I was playing basketball and I sprained my ankle, even though my dad had warned me weeks prior to that you're focusing too much on this basketball thing and you're gonna end up getting yourself hurt. But
he told you that?
Yes, he told me that specifically, like, yo, stay away from the basketball because you're gonna get yourself hurt. And he was right. I hurt myself. But those are the two things I would say was probably the biggest things that hampered me. So what is your dad like when you're disobedient, or no, I mean you're more disciplined, but in the past, and you went ahead and did what you had to do and you get hurt, and you came back to him. What is he like? It wasn't pretty. That's all I can tell you.
It wasn't pretty. Wow. Go ahead, boss.
It's one of those things that sometimes you really have to leave them to learn.
Right.
What happened? He was arguing a lot about basketball. So when I see that, I see an itch. Right, he's getting too passionate about this thing, and he's arguing about basketball constantly with other guys that are playing. And I said, Lutalo, basketball is not your focus. You shouldn't be that hyped. And he was getting angry actually about somebody was telling him that he couldn't play. And I was like, you have nothing to prove. You're a track and field athlete. And so when I saw that, I saw the bug. I saw the bug was still there. Like he said, he's a human being. He loves sports, and basketball was his first love. So I know that's always gonna be, you know, a little pinch with him.
Right.
So, but you know, I allowed him, and he went and he played, and he came back, and he, of course, he lied. He said he fell down the stairs, which I knew immediately it was nonsense. But you know, I allowed him.
Right.
But I think the greatest thing that he learned out of that was that when you really have something going for you, you can't allow too many other distractions to come and pull you away from that. And you know, it was like he said, it was a great lesson. It was a great lesson for him.
So discipline again.
Yes,
It's very, very important.
yes,
Yeah.
and dedication.
And dedication. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Lutalo, what other sport would you like to compete in? See, I think I'm storing up trouble here. If you were not doing long jump, that I did I ask a bad question?
Nah, it's a perfectly good question, but I'd probably say basketball because I really don't like too many other sports because a lot of sports are getting into the once again with the steroids and the lifestyle and the drugs and all that. So I would say probably basketball would probably be probably the sport I would probably play if I wasn't doing track and field right now.
You think track and field has kept you out of trouble?
Yes, a lot of times. Because I see it a lot of the times the paths that my friends have going down because they weren't disciplined and dedicated to something. So because I was dedicated to this allowed me to grow as a man and mature.
You know, Lutalo, I believe in balance. And your father will tell you that. And to me, it would not do you justice if we just talk about your dad and his input and not mention your mom. You know, she has played a very important role in your life. You know, she brought you here and lots of love. What was her reaction, or her being from Barbados, was her reaction when you won the Barbados championship? What's that like?
She was yelling through the phone. She was happy. She was excited. Like she was a little bit mad that she missed it, but she still felt the energy that she was that I had because I had won the competition. So she was happy to see me do great at that competition, especially in where she grew up in Barbados.
And what is it like when she's at one of your meets? Do you is she one of your greatest cheerleaders, I should say?
Definitely one of my greatest cheerleaders. I would say so. She's always there for me, whether I'm up or I'm down. Like she's always telling me, "You're still great. You still have talent. Don't ever give up on your dreams." You tell her. She's been there since day one. Whether when I was competing in high school and competing now, she's still there telling me, pushing me, and even when I'm ready to say, you know, I'm not feeling this today. She's right behind me, telling me, no, don't settle for less. Keep pushing yourself until you're happy.
Nothing like a mother's love and push, for the lack of a better word. She's from Barbados. Your dad is from Guyana. Someone in the chat room asked if you want to represent Guyana. What would that be like, Lutalo, do you think?
That'd be an honor to honestly represent any country, to be honest. Because my parents are both from different countries, I wouldn't mind competing for either or because that's my background. So
right.
I would love the experience to go to Guyana and compete for them, or the experience to go down to Barbados and compete for them.
Wow. What do you admire in the field of sports?
What I admire is the unity, I would say, in sports. A lot of times it brings together a lot of relationships, connections, and memories you'll never forget with certain people, whether it be with family, friends, or strangers.
Memories. I like that. Kali asked, How has your high level of discipline helped toward being a student and in other areas of your life?
It's helped me. It's helped me transfer not only because I'm so dedicated in sports. I carry that same attitude into school also because I want to be. I don't just want to be just the mediocre kid in class where people just classify you as, oh, he's just a jock or the dumb athlete. So once I'm in school, I'm the same guy at practice. I try to focus and try to put my best effort forward to get the best grade or be the top of the class.
Well, what is your favorite subject?
My favorite subject is math.
Math. Yeah. You're your father's child indeed. You're definitely your father's son. Let's take a quick break. All right?
All right, no problem.
Okay. We are back with Lutalo Boyce. Lutalo, are you enjoying yourself so far?
Very much so.
I'm so glad to hear that. So what do you do when you're hanging out with your friends?
Usually just chit chat, talk about girls, video games, anything, any subject, to be honest.
Yours and video games, huh? Okay, okay. And what are you what are you most like your mom, or what do you? Yeah, what are you most like your mom?
I would say very strong-minded, very never wants to give up and wants to put whether it be just going out to helping one of us do our homework or helping us through a situation. She'll give her best advice forward.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I think of when I think of her. 100%. How are you most like your dad?
I would say most like my dad is confidence. That's something that I definitely picked up from him is confidence.
And your brother?
My brother, I would say, let me think.
He's listening. I just thought I'd let you know that.
I'd probably say his calmness and his mental ability to figure out a way also.
It's calmness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. What is your favorite thing to do when you're in Barbados? Or well, that was your first? No, that wasn't your first time, Lutalo. But
No.
your first time as an athlete.
First time as an athlete
Okay,
down
well,
there.
the question stands. What is your favorite thing to do when you're in Barbados?
I would say go to the beach. That's probably one of the best things.
Well, what do you like about the beach mostly?
It's relaxing. The salt water. It's nice. It's warm. It's almost like a cleanse when you go to the islands and you get in the water in the beach.
You like that?
Yes, that's what I love the most.
Is calmness very important to you? Yeah.
It's your serenity.
Serenity. Like that. The SACB said, proud of you. Appreciate your discipline and humor.
Thank you so much.
You definitely get your humor from both of your parents, I must say, right? Am I correct?
I would say so.
Yeah, both of them. And so, what is next on your timeline?
Next on my timeline is I'm just training for now, waiting because I've been jumping a lot and a lot of national meets. I'm taking a little bit of a break from track meets, so I'm gonna train for these next 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna have another track meet. So in that span of 3 weeks, I'm looking to train myself, get myself up to my best and peak level, so that I can take down another record and break the 26-foot barrier down.
The 20. So that's your goal, or that's your goal?
Yes, for
The 26.
Yep,
Wow. And you're training hard for that.
every day, and that's the world standard also.
That is the world standard. And you're only 21.
Yep, 21 years of age.
Wow. So the Olympics. What does that mean to you?
That's everything to me. That's me being at the top of my game, me representing an entire country, not only family but fans and followers backing me and pushing me to get the gold and bring it home for them.
What makes you laugh out loud?
Honestly, anything.
Any-
Any kind of, I can't lie. I like a lot of foolish things.
I usually ask my guests, the time is on us, right? It's almost 10. I usually ask my guests to give us a few words of wisdom, or a few words of advice, to close the show. But I'm thinking how I'm going to do this, because I want to get your father in on this. I want to hear you, and I also want to hear your dad as well, because he always has something wise to say. So let's take you then. Tell us. If you give us a few words of advice or wisdom, some principles that you live by.
Some of the few principles that I live by is whatever you believe in, stand up for. Always know thyself, and believe the skies are the limit.
Wow. I'm gonna. Basil, can you go over there? Yeah. I want to hear your dad.
Well, he took the words out of my mouth, because the beginning of all things is to know thyself.
Yes.
It was written on the pyramids, and that was done long before Socrates and all the Greek philosophers claimed it. Because when you know yourself, you're gonna know your limits, your capabilities, and that allows you to really relate to other people. Also to understand, it gives you a level of compassion, a level of patience, and I think that is so important in this world. You talked about peer pressure.
Right.
A lot of the youths are facing, and of course there's images, the media. We're on media right now, and we know the effect of media. They use stars, athletes, to market, and some of the messages are very confusing to the youths. And so that's why it's so important to really know yourself, to know what it is that you represent, because we're all different, and it's okay to be different. And so many times we're told that we have to fit a certain way, but how could that be when we're all different? Even twins think differently. And so within that originality is your strength. So if you actually try to become like somebody else, you're actually moving away from your own strength. And so going back to what Lutalo said, it's your real strength and your wisdom and everything comes from knowing yourself. And with that, I would like to leave that with the youths.
And before you go, Basil, I had a question in mind to ask you. Okay, what is one thing that you have instilled in him that you are proud to see has taken root? I know you've instilled many things, but what is the one thing?
I really like the way he relates to the younger people, to the youths. I've seen him coaching, and to me that makes my heart really leap, because he's such a giving and unselfish person, and to me that embodies character. And I think the world needs a lot more unselfish people to come together and make this world even more beautiful than it is. So I would probably say that's what I'm most proud of, is his given nature, his unselfish way. He's going to be a great coach. He's been coaching from the time he's 18 years old. I think he's probably one of the youngest certified USATF coaches.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's taken to that. He's actually working at St. Anthony's High School, and he works with a lot of youth. So I think that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of.
Lutalo, what is next for you?
Next for me, I would probably just say, just to enjoy life, enjoy the rest of the summer.
Good, wonderful, and first of all, I want to say thank you for coming.
It was a pleasure.
All right, and to your dad, Basil, I am very proud of you, man. I am kind of lost for words, and that's tough for me, but I am lost for words. To see the unfolding of a vision that you've had for so many years, so long ago, and I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of you, and you're quite an inspiration. I know you're very patient and wise, and to see you impart those gifts into your son, or help him to unlock that which is in him, is a tremendous blessing and gift from a father to a son. And I want to thank you guys very much. And to our audience, I want to say thank you for listening. It was indeed a pleasure this evening, having this young man on, and his dad. I've known him since he was a child, so I am very, very proud to have him on. And he spoke of the importance of perseverance and dedication, the importance of being true to yourself. I think when we are true to ourselves, we have access to unlimited potential, unlimited power which resides within us. I think being true to ourselves is the key that releases those treasures, and give us access to a lot of tools that we can use to be better persons in to society. And the other thing Basil mentioned, or they both mentioned, is selflessness. That to me is extremely important, because at the end of the day, it is not about you. It isn't about you. It's about others. And if we all think like that, if we all think in terms of how we can help the next person or the other person, then society and humanity will benefit tremendously from that. We often use, especially among men, we often use the word brother. And to me, if you take away the BR, you have other. Are you my best other? And if that is the case, then we can have a very good relationship. And the point in all of this is, think outside of yourself. Think about giving unconditionally. Think about, for instance, this young man is coaching, and I mean, he is imparting his knowledge and his gift to young people. Basil is doing the same, and we can see the effects of his selflessness as he coaches his son to success and stardom. And I want to leave with you tonight the importance of being selfless, the importance of giving unconditionally. So this is Selwyn saying good night. God bless. By the way, tomorrow evening, tune in at the same time, 8:30 to 10. My guest tomorrow night is Romola Lucas. I anticipate another very enjoyable conversation. Good night until tomorrow.
Thank you for having me.
Go again, Basil.
Thank you so much for having us here. It's a pleasure to actually see you, Selwyn,
Wow.
bringing yourself to the next level also, because this is something that I know as a friend that's been within you for a long time, and we're so proud that you've actually brought this forum to life to bring all these positive things that are so absolutely necessary. So we thank you for being here also. As a matter of fact, it's an honor to be on your show, honestly.
Wow.
All right? Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm lost for words, Basil, and good night. Lutalo, you want to say something?
Thank you to the viewers who are watching and family. So and everybody have a good night.
Is there anything you want to say to your mom, your brother, and your sister?
I love you guys, and you guys make me proud.
Big up Texas. I know all the Texas folks are watching.
All right. Good night. Good night. Thank you guys again.